You are listening to Ayomide, where complex idea becomes simple. Let me tell you something interesting about the world we live in. There are systems all around us. Systems that shapes our lives, systems that determine which nations grow wealthy and which nations stay poor. Systems that have been operating for decades, quietly, consistently, powerfully. And most people have never stopped to understand them. Today I want one of those systems. I want to talk about one of those systems, the World Bank. Now, most people have heard those two words, the World Bank. And when they hear them, they picture something helpful, something charitable, an institution that exists to lift poor nations out of poverty. And I understand why they think that. That is what they were told. But here is what I learned about the world. What we are told about a thing and what that thing actually does are not always the same. So let us go back to the beginning. The year 1944, the Second World War is coming to an end. The most powerful nations on the earth are sitting together in a small town in New Hampshire called Bretton Woods, and they are designing something. They are designing the global financial system. Now, here is the thing I want you to notice. The people designing the system were the same people who would control it. The United States, the United Kingdom, France, Germany, Japan. These are the nations that hold the most voting power in the World Bank today. These are the nations whose interests sit at the center of every major decision. And the president of the World Bank, from the very beginning until today, has always been an American nominated by the United States. That is not an accident. That is a design. Now, let me explain how the World Bank actually works. A developing nation needs money, perhaps for road, for hospital, for schools, perhaps simply to keep its government functioning. So it approaches the World Bank, and the World Bank says, "We will lend you the money." Now that's simple enough. But here's what most people do not know. The money does not come alone. It comes with instructions. They call those instructions structural adjustment programs. And I want you to understand what that phrase actually means. When a nation borrows from the World Bank, it does not simply receive funds. It receives a list of conditions. Reduce your government spending, privatize your public companies, open your borders to foreign competition, remove the protections that shield your local industries. Those are the conditions. And the nation that needs money agrees. Because what choice does it have? Now I want you to think carefully about what those conditions actually produce. A poor nation already struggling to provide for its people is told to spend less on those same people. Its public assets, built over generations, are sold to private investors. Its local industry, already fragile, are suddenly competing against companies from the wealthiest nation on earth. Companies with more capital, more technology, more resources, more experience. Think about what happens to a small farmer. He has a small piece of land. He grows what he can. He sells what he grows. He feeds his family. He employs a few people in his community. Now, tell that farmer you must now compete directly with the largest agricultural corporations in the world. No protection, no subsidy, no advantage. Just open competition. He cannot compete. He loses his land. His family loses its income. its community loses something it can never get back, and the large corporation from somewhere far away takes the profit home. Now, here is what the evidence has shown us. In many of the nations that follow this condition faithfully, poverty do not reduce, local industry collapsed, public services get deteriorated, and the debt, rather than shrinking, grew larger. Because the economy did not grow fast enough to repay what was borrowed, to repay the first loan and then more to repay the second. And this is the part I want you to sit with for a moment. Debt is not simply a number. Debt is a lever. A nation that holds more than it can repay does not make its own decision freely. It negotiates, it complies, it implements policy it may never have chosen on its own term, because the alternative, the default, carries consequence far worse than compliance. Therefore, the question worth asking is not, does the World Bank help developing nations? The question worth asking is, who benefits most from the help it provides? When a nation opens its market, who enters? Foreign companies from wealthy nations. When a nation privatizes its assets, who buy them? International investors from the wealthy nations. When a nation removes its trade protection, whose products fuel the newly opened market? Products from industrialized nations that produce far more efficiently than any local industry can match. I want you to be careful here. The World Bank has built roads that people drive on today. It has funded vaccines that children received. It has supported clean water systems in places that had none. This is real good in that record. I'm not telling you this institution is purely evil. I am telling you something more nuanced than that. I am telling you that a system designed by the powerful will tend to serve the powerful, even when it produces some genuine good along the way. That is simply how the system works. There is a phrase I want you to remember. Show me the incentive and I will show you the outcome. The World Bank is a bank. Bank exists to lend money. Bank profits when loans are repaid with interest. Banks do not profit from nations that become so wealthy they no longer need to borrow. The World Bank was not built to make poor nations rich. It was built to keep them stable enough to keep borrowing. And there is a very important difference between those two things. Here's what I want you to take from today. The world has systems. Those systems have designers, and the designers always add interest. Understanding those interests clearly, honestly, without bitterness, but without naivety, is how you begin to see the world as it actually is. Now, as you were told it is, and as it actually is, and that understanding is what more than most anything else you can acquire. That is episode 4 of Ayomide, where complex ideas become simple. If this gave you a clearer picture of something you sensed but could never quite explain, that is exactly why this channel exists. Subscribe right now if you have not already. Every week, one complex idea explained simply, honestly, without agenda. The next episode is already being built. I will see you next week.